Hello everyone! Juicy gulab jamuns. One of the most famous and favorite recipes to kids and elders is a juicy and perfectly made gulab jamuns. So let's dive right in where we are going to include 7 tips to ensure that you get perfect gulab jamuns. I'm starting by taking an instant gulab jamun mix. You can take any company. I have 175 grams of gulab jamun mix by MTR. You can use Bambino or any company, it doesn't really matter. Just ensure that you follow all the tips that we have included in this recipe. I have also ensured that we include a separate slide by the end of the video which includes all the tips that we have discussed throughout the recipe, which are total of 7. So this instant gulab jamun mix is primarily made of milk powder. We will start by adding water to this mix. Now since this does not have lot of gluten in this mix, there is no requirement of kneading it too much. Just add water little by little. So to this packet of 175 grams, it took me about 4 teaspoons of water. Please do ensure that you do not add water all at once, because if you add water more than required, the dough will become very soft and that might lead to gulab jamuns which actually split open while you're frying them. So that's tip number 1. Also, do not knead this dough too much. Overworking this dough will lead to small tough parts of dough which are not completely cooked forming in the center of gulab jamun. You might have noticed this in some of the gulab jamuns that there are small clumps which are formed at the center. So to avoid that, do not knead your dough. Now that we have just mixed our dough, we will start by making our syrup. So for this I am taking 1:2 ratio, that is for 1 cup of sugar we will take 2 cups of water. Now out of this 175 gram instant gulab jamun mix, I was able to make 55 gulab jamuns and I'm going to make my syrup in 2 batches. For 55 gulab jamuns, we will require 4 cups of water and 2 cups of sugar, but I will start with first batch, which is of 2 cups of water and 1 cup sugar. I'll let you know why I'm making my syrup in 2 batches shortly. So once the sugar starts melting, just give it a mix, a slight stir to ensure that the sugar does not start burning at the bottom of the bowl. And now I have also placed oil for heating. So we have to heat our oil. Ensure that your oil is completely hot, and then once it's piping hot, you can simmer down the flame of your stove and meanwhile start making small jamuns. Now as you've seen, there should be small pockets of air in the dough after you have made it by mixing the water. This will ensure that our gulab jamuns are super soft. Now another tip is to roll your gulab jamuns in 2 batches. Now what I'm doing is I have oiled my palms completely with oil. Grease your palms nicely and then take very small pieces of the dough and just give a slight roll. Do not put pressure, just give a slight roll. We are just starting to make the balls of gulab jamun here. We haven't given it a complete structure. So following this tip 3, you will get gulab jamuns which are soft and do not have small chunks of dough uncooked in the center. The second roll that we are giving to our gulab jamuns at this point, to ensure that you're not applying too much pressure, otherwise the gulab jamuns will become hard. Apply oil frequently to your palms to ensure that there are no cracks, because this is the last time we are going to roll. And this last roll ensures that our gulab jamuns are perfectly round in shape and do not crack open. Now our syrup is ready. We have ensured that all the sugar is completely dissolved and one boil has occurred in the syrup, so we will switch it off, add half a teaspoon of cardamom powder and now start frying our gulab jamuns. So once the oil was completely hot, I turned the flame of stove to low and now we will drop all our gulab jamuns. Do not worry, the gulab jamuns will not stick to each other. This is a very easy recipe. Following these tips, you will be able to make lots of gulab jamuns in no time. It's a very efficient and a recipe that will come in handy, especially as the festivals are around the corner. So once you see that these gulab jamuns are getting this nice golden color, just stir it slowly. Now one of the tricks to ensure that gulab jamuns are fried thoroughly all around, because these are such soft balls, we will ensure that we are moving our ladle just in the oil. Moving the oil around and stirring it through will ensure that none of our gulab jamuns are cracked and are fried all around evenly. It will take around 3 to 4 minutes to fry these gulab jamuns. We will fry these gulab jamuns until they are dark maroon in color. Now you might think that you're over frying them, but because these gulab jamuns will double in size after they've absorbed the syrup, so frying them nicely until they're maroonish in color will ensure that our gulab jamuns are nicely orangish red in color once they have absorbed all the syrup. Once these are nicely fried, immediately drop them into the syrup. Now the syrup should be lukewarm so that these jamuns can absorb as much syrup as they can to ensure they are melt in the mouth soft. Now one of the major concerns of most of those who've tried gulab jamuns is these kind of jamuns where we have lots of cracks on the surface. So tip number 5 is to address cracked gulab jamuns or the gulab jamuns that have harder surfaces. Now the reason why we might face this problem is because a film forms eventually when you're making these gulab jamuns on the dough, which is a yellowish hard film. So to avoid that or to avoid any kind of cracks, few people suggest to cover the dough with a wet cloth, but do not do that because that way your dough will absorb too much moisture. So just take a little bit of oil in your palms, and whenever you feel that there is a hard film forming on the dough or the jamuns, just knead them once with the oil in your palms and they will be perfectly round again. The next tip is to transfer all your soaking gulab jamuns into a wider bowl. Now what this will do is it will give more space for the gulab jamuns to bulge up, and that is the reason why, if you remember, I mentioned that I make my syrups in 2 batches. So this is my second batch where I have taken 2 cups of water and 1 cup of sugar, and this will allow for the syrup to still be warm, and I have transferred the first batch into a wider bowl, and this is my second batch of gulab jamuns, which will be soaked in warm syrup which has just been prepared, and this will ensure that my gulab jamuns are super soft. Even the last one gets enough syrup to get soaked in, and all the gulab jamuns are evenly moist and soft. So here I have placed the 3 different stages of these gulab jamuns for a comparison. So the white one is when we made a dough. You can see after frying the jamun has doubled in size, and after soaking the syrup the gulab jamun has almost become 4 times in size, and you can see that there is no uncooked dough in the center. The syrup has been soaked until the very epicenter of the gulab jamun, and the gulab jamun is super soft and succulent. You can sprinkle some pistachios, or I have sprinkled a few strands of kesar. It's completely optional, and there you go. All 7 tips of list that will ensure that you can make perfect gulab jamuns in no time. Accumulated list of all the tips. I hope you liked this video. Do let us know in the comment section, and do not forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.